Web3 games have quickly pushed game economies to the forefront of players' minds when evaluating the latest releases. Now more than ever, the need for a well-balanced game economy is critical to any project's future. Machinations is a visual tool specifically built for creating and testing game economies. As a Turing-complete system, the 11 objects allow us to simulate any type of game logic. Let's first have a look at the challenges that Web3 game developers are facing. Here we have an abstract view of the typical core game loop. The player completes an action in the game, they are rewarded, the player then has the opportunity to reinvest these rewards in the game. This could be in the form of unlocking the next level, receiving an amazing new sword, or upgrading the character stats. In Web3 projects, we are adding a new path for players that enables them to exchange some of their in-game rewards with other players. Rather than just thinking about one player's progression, games will have lots of these individual progression systems happening at the same time. As new players join at different times, we can end up with a complex combination of different player economies at different stages all the time. These players can now interact with each other through marketplaces and token exchanges to sell their items or even cash out. Players can also buy items via these marketplaces, adding further complexity for game designers to manage. Now, one player's activity can impact every other player in the system, as well as external influences of changes in the cryptocurrency marketplaces. Machinations are now working with Web3 game developers to enable them to test their game economies before launch, and then consistently monitor their economies for signs of instability. This allows developers to make small, well-tested changes to the game economy to maintain stability well before they get caught in runaway inflation or deflation.
Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So this is a sort of a thought experiment that I'm going to do today. It's not a blockchain game. This is Castle Crush. It is going to be a blockchain game at some point in the next month or so. So this is a game from a company called Wildlife Studios. This is a standard web free-to-play mobile game. I'm playing on an iPad. It's had about 75 million downloads. I think 200,000 DAUs and about sort of, they say, 40,000 competitive players, whatever that means. So it's a game that's been out there for a while, a few years, and now they're going to add NFTs to it. So some of these, you see my deck here. So basically, how this works is you have these you create a deck of these sort of cards, so you level them up, and when you get to a certain point of leveling them up, you'll be able to sort of mint them onto the blockchain. They're using the Avalanche blockchain. There's also going to be a game token called, I think it's called the ASC token. So that's sort of coming. It's been a bit delayed because of what's going on in the crypto markets. So I've been playing this game just to sort of get a feel for it and sort of kind of enjoying it. It's a fairly standard genre. But one thing I have been thinking about is obviously a competitive game. So I'll play a game in a minute. I can't talk and play very well, so I'll talk now and play later. But it's a competitive game. So there's 3 layers, and basically you're trying to destroy other people's castle, crush their castle, obviously. So it's quite competitive, and I'm not very good at it, so I get beaten a lot, probably by 8-year-old kids from from somewhere. So I get a bit angry. So I tried to stop myself by doing that, and I tried to be nice. So I'll show you how to do that. But it also made me think. Let's play a game. Now, one of the things about blockchain games is, if this game is on the blockchain, then despite the fact that I'm gonna probably lose, the fact that we're both playing actually means that we're sort of both part of this sort of community. So even if I lose, if this was a blockchain game, sort of the fact that someone else was winning, we'd be part of a community, and in fact we'd want to sort of encourage more people to play this game and obviously sort of provide sort of bigger community and get more people playing the game. So it's sort of quite an interesting sort of thought. Oh dear, he's got a big guy there. So this is quite an interesting sort of thought experiment where previously this is obviously a PvP game that I'm going to lose. And you sort of get angry, but if you sort of lose, well, at least I do. But if we think about a blockchain game, I still won't be happy if I lose. But equally, the fact that there is this sort of ongoing community, and the fact that I lost to someone is actually sort of quite good, because I want to be sort of playing well. I want to encourage people. I could say something like this: "Good game, yeah, there we go." See, he's not replying to me actually. So that's that sort of stuff. It sort of made me think more about, we don't really think about blockchain games in that way. We think very much, how much the NFT's worth, or is sort of the price going up or something like that. But actually, there is a wider sort of thing that there's sort of a meta game going on here, really. with a blockchain game is you're playing the game and you're leveling up in the game, but now we have these sort of tokens, and we might care about the token price clearly. Oh, he's going to destroy me here. So we might think about token price, but we might think about actually, I won. So let's say well played. So flawless victory there. So I'm pretty happy with that in general. But you can imagine, just the thing that blockchain is adding to this is a sort of meta on top of the meta. So I've won a game and I've got this sort of thing I can unlock, so that's sort of cool, and that's sort of the meta of the free-to-play mobile game. But there is sort of community, and people talk a little bit still about sort of layer one being community in blockchain games, and it's sort of always sometimes hard to know exactly what that means. But I think it is interesting that, and obviously this would perhaps work much better for a cooperative sort of game, where people are sort of, they have to cooperate in terms of the gameplay, and also that give you a nice community around it. But I think even with these PvP games, the fact that I lost the game to someone, but we're all part of the ecosystem, and maybe we could have some, in that sort of situation, maybe they'll add some different sort of prompts, so I could say sort of like, ASC to the moon or something. There could be sort of shared memes that we have within that, and I guess that will probably, a lot of blockchain games have that. Maybe it'd be hard to integrate that sort of stuff into this as a Web 2 game. But you can sort of feel how that sort of community is going along, and the fact that whether I win or lose, whatever my progress in the game is, I'm sort of part of a bigger sort of community. And we haven't really had that in games, I don't think, unless you're very committed to an alliance in let's say World of Warcraft or something like that. For these sort of fairly almost not sort of throwaway games, but they're much more sort of limited sort of games. We don't really have that experience, or haven't had that experience, and I think. Maybe not for this game, but for some games that will really sort of help. It will just give this extra sort of glue, this sort of social cohesion into the community. That it doesn't really matter. It matters even less now what's happening in the game, because you're part of a bigger community and you're sort of having fun on Discord or crypto Twitter or whatever thing you're doing. So that was just a sort of thought that I sort of came across as I was playing this game and getting very angry, and then trying to be nicer about it, and then thinking about how blockchain could do that. And I think there's stuff like DAOs in particular sort of come into fore, or alliances, guilds, however you want to describe those things, that they could all be the same. The games will become sort of not less important in a bad way, but what's actually going on in the game becomes sort of less important to your overall enjoyment of being in a community. And I think, in history of games, as far as I've been playing them over sort of many decades, what happens is the game becomes less important over time. And certainly the more you play an individual game, the game bit becomes less important, and the stuff around it becomes more important. I think blockchain really adds to that, and that's going to be the big sort of switch that we see. So obviously, the fact that these things NFTs have value, that these tokens have value, obviously goes up and down. But I think the fact that you can sort of build community in different ways around these products is going to be really fascinating, and really going to drive sort of growth of games from whatever we are, sort of 2 billion now, to like everyone to a degree plays a game or is involved with games to some degree. So there we go. That was the thought for today. Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to the channel. See you again soon.